S10. We're going to use spark plugs and wires, and we're going to see how fast we can get this job done. It should only be a 45-minute job, right? Anytime you're doing something for the first time, you want to kind of evaluate what your situation is. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to see where those spark plugs connect, chase the wires back down to the distributor cap or coil. Not quite 100% sure yet, and we'll see what we're dealing with. What I'm trying to do right now is identify where the lines are going into the block, and I'm going in on this side of the block. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. Looks like they're going over and under the other side, so I'm going to chase it down that side. I'm chasing the wires, and what I'm doing is I'm going to wiggle them, and I can see right down there where they're going down, and it looks like they're connecting to the distributor cap. A slight correction on that. The wires actually connect to a coil that's on the side of the block, as you can see in the diagram here. It's labeled 1 through 4, and it's extremely difficult to reach, as you'll find out. Down below. I've already jacked up the truck, so I'm going to go down there and check it out. Well, whoever designed should be taken out, dragged behind a horse, kicked about 50 times, yards. That's my observation. This has got to be the worst location you possibly imagine. Well, after my initial investigation, it looks like this is going to be a little bit of a harder job than I expected. It looks like a lot of work. It's a hot day out. Got my cameraman, got my camera, so we're going to see how fast we can get this done. Not really looking forward to climbing all over that truck. What's nice about this is I think I spent $16 on the wires, and I think the plugs were like $2 a piece. Relatively cheap job, about $30 in parts, so let's see what we're dealing with. I got these OmniSpark wires. I think it's 16 bucks on one of these trucks. They vary depending on the vehicle and the performance requirements. Everybody says use AC Delco, so I got some of those. They're pre-gapped, so I don't have to worry about it. And because these have metal threading, they have steel threading. That's an aluminum block. We got some anti-lock, so if they ever pull these out, they don't thread them. They don't. We have to replace one of these at a time. Break out my trusty little scissors here. My wife doesn't know I have them. And we gotta cut these clips off. This one is a little bit trickier to get to. Okay, once I've cut the 2 zip ties that were holding the wires together, I'm going to go ahead and pull the management tubing that was used to protect the wires from the heat of the block. You want to keep that, you don't want to lose it. Oh yeah, and before I get too far along and forget, you want to disconnect the battery before you start working on this. Then our next step, it looks like we're going to have to remove the air intake so that we can get access. So it looks like it's time for a musical montage. I've got some access here. I'm going to start from the hardest access point and go to the easiest, just because I want to get the hardest part over with. Wow, wasn't that easy? It took like 15 minutes to pull one. This job sucks. This ain't DIY, this is DI-dumb. As everybody can see, I'm just a professional here. Try to pull this down the wrong way, didn't want to go. That is 13 pounds of torque, and that's what's required for your spark plugs. So I'll use that when I put them back in. Yeah, you don't want to leave these laying around. I dropped this from above, and when I reached in to grab it, it fell through, and it was sitting near the belt. And had I let him, just said, oh well, I'm gonna let him drive, it'll fall out eventually. This would have gotten into that belt, man, that would have been some serious damage. But we found it. We bought these spark plugs and asked the guy behind the counter, did they come pre-gapped? And he said yes. We got them here and checked. They're supposed to have 0.060 of a gap based off the Chilton guide. Turns out they were nowhere near that, so we gapped them. I switched to my my little plastic glovies here. I'm going to put some anti-seize on this thread lubricant because they said these are steel threaded, and that's an aluminum block. And if you thread this into the aluminum block and you don't use this anti-seize, when they go to change these again, they'll back them out and you can cross thread the threads inside the block, and that will screw up the block for taking more spark plugs. So let's go put a little bit of this around the threads. If it's tricky going back in as it was taking this thing out, then we're going to pray. To make sure that the wire you pulled off matches the length of the wire you're going to put on. Get this guy down. On. Alright, so time for the old hanger trick. Hopefully this works. The hole's a little too tight for my hands to go down to make sure this threads properly, so I'm not about to pull the intake off. So got me a hanger, and we'll just kind of this guy a tug and see if we pull it right through the pull it right through for us. There we go. So when in doubt, little ingenuity and help you accomplish the task. Alright, so before you say I just wasted 8 minutes of your life, remember that took almost an hour to pull one plug. So 1 down, 3 to go, we're going to get back to it. Oops. Okay guys, what you just saw was I ripped the wire out of the boot. That means that boot's still attached to that spark plug. Now it's time to get out some vice grips, pull that thing off, see if I can get that spark plug out. That's not something you see every day, but it happened. Yeah. Things roll. So if you pull on the wire too hard, you're going to pull it right out of the back of this guy. Then you got to pull this guy out. I'm looking back in there and the crimp is still on the tip of the spark plug. So things not to do. Don't pull on the wire. So there's the tip that goes inside of this guy. It goes down in there, goes on the end of the spark plug. So I got that out. Now I can get the spark plug out. If this happens to you, this is the unicorn. Cherish this moment. This is your nirvana. I almost want to kiss this damn thing.
It might get us an extra like or two.
Okay, everything's out. Now we're going to put the new spark plug in. Remember to torque your spark plugs to 13 foot-pounds. I really thought I was in a lot of trouble when I ripped the wire out of the back of that boot, but I got the boot out okay, pulled the clip off the end of the spark plug, so it wasn't a big deal. Got 2 down, 2 to go. We're 2 hours into this, so much for that 45-minute time frame. Everything's going through with a fucking engine. I know you told me not to do that, but I'm doing it again. Once again, I left it in there. Yeah, I left it in there again. So I'm two for 3 on that. Two unicorns. Well, I ripped the second wire. Well, 3 down, 1 to go. We're 3 hours into this project, and I did have a unicorn moment. I got that spark plug out with the socket, so hopefully the 4th one will go a lot better than the last 3.
The good news is, if you can pull this one, if you can get the rubber shroud off, it shouldn't be nothing to get a pair of pliers on that metal clip to pull off.
I mean, I can get it out.
Jerk it out. We ain't got time for practical, man. Go about how it's been working for you.
Nobody said it's been working.
Now it's been working. Maybe you get lucky and you pull the whole thing. What I tell you.
Hardest one to reach, and it came off just fine. Popped right off like it's supposed to. Oh, we were worried we were going to get screwed on that.
last one.
There you have it. 4 spark plugs, 4 hours. But we got the job done, cranked up the truck, everything works. So what did we learn from this process? Well, now I'm $30 into it, 4 hours time invested. Was it worth the money? Yeah, sure. It was worth the money, it was worth the lesson. What kind of stuff did I take from this? First, always remember to torque to spec. The other thing I learned is make sure that you have some compressed air or something that you want to spray around the spark plug before you pull the spark plug out, and that keeps from any debris from falling down into the hole. Needle nose vice grips will come in handy, especially if you leave some clips on the end of the spark plugs if you rip the wires out. I didn't watch a ton of videos on how to do this. I watched a few videos on how to remove the boots, and I thought they were all a little bit disingenuous, because when they do, what they would do is they would stage the block right there for you and make it to where it looked really simple. They would shake the boot, pop right off. The biggest problems I had were access. Trying to get access to, ended up being the coil on the side of the block so that you could attach the wires, and you had to feed them underneath the throttle body. You know, getting that access, and I thought I started at the most difficult plug, and realistically the last plug actually was the hardest because of access. So I hope this was helpful. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching this video. If you like what you saw, you can subscribe to the channel and you'll get regular updates. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I got a blogger post that you can follow us on. So we really appreciate your feedback. Give us comments below, and we'll see you next time.